ensure that has the same language to understand the issues we will be talking about. And then we will have a presentation by a community org on what is happening in Haiti, and another presentation on undocumented workers and the connection to the care economy. And after, we will have a small discussion in breakout rooms. And when we come back, we'll talk a bit about voting rights and the recall. So before we begin, I just wanted to highlight some community guidelines for all of us to keep in mind as we interact in this space. And these are guidelines that are intended to allow healing and growth to be prioritized in this space together. And so I'll just read through these community guidelines that I have created and ask if anybody has additional ones they'd like to add. So first, no bigotry, hate, or slander will be tolerated. Respect the backgrounds, identities, and experiences that people have. Take space, make space, which means if you feel that you are speaking a lot, maybe take a moment to allow other people who haven't shared to speak. What is said here stays here, but what is learned here leaves here. So instead of saying so-and-so said this specific thing during the meeting, you can talk about the lesson that you learned from hearing another person speak. Please take care of yourself. This is a virtual meeting. There might be things that end up triggering you, so take the time you need to heal and be whole. One mic, one diva, similar to take space, make space, but allow one person to speak at a time. Correct with care. So if someone does say something that is upsetting, take a moment to reflect on what has caused that harm and try to address it with care. And don't assume knowledge. If you use academic jargon, please explain the term so that we all can have a glowing collection of words that we can use. And so I'll pause to see if anybody has additional community guidelines they'd like to add.
I would just like to add that all truth is truth. We come from very various lived experiences, and what can be true for me or someone else is not necessarily true for someone else, but that doesn't make it invalid. And also circling back to what you said about some things you hear may be triggering. I think it's important that if we feel triggered, if you feel something in your body that makes you feel anxious or having any emotions that come up, might want to practice taking a deep breath and letting it out slowly to a count of 10, allowing you to think, allowing you to process your thoughts a little bit more.
Perfect. So I added the community guidelines to the chat, and I'll be sure to add it to the slides as well after I stop my screen share. And I see, David, your hand is up.
I'm sorry. I saw Ligia and I just tried to say hi, but thank you. I understand. Everything is fine. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I was speaking to David.
Yeah, I for the sake of accessibility, one guideline that a number of us have had for various groups is that those of us who use screen readers, we hear everything that is going on in the Zoom meeting, who comes in, who leaves, and everything. And so if you could please minimize use of the chat, that would be very helpful. The other thing I would like to say, for the sake of diversity, for those of you who happen to be Jewish, I'd like to wish you a Shana Tova, a Happy New Year, 5782. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for that reminder. And I will be sure, and the facilitators as well will be sure to uplift anything added to the chat so that it is accessible to everybody. And thank you for that, David. And Jessica, I see your hand is up.
Thank you. I just wanted to add to what David was saying about access, that, you know, making sure our meetings are as accessible as possible to everyone is also a priority. You know, we do encounter challenges when there are sometimes competing access demands. What makes the meeting most accessible to one person may make it less accessible for someone else. So with the chat, we know that that's a good way for some people based on disability or other things to participate. And so we encourage people to just turn off the chat if that doesn't work. And then, as Bisma said, the facilitators or presenters will be sure to read out things on the chat, and we'll share it later so that people won't miss things, but so that it won't be distracting. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for uplifting each other's needs. And is there anyone else that would like to add to the community guidelines or expectations of this call? Jessica, your hand is now down. Okay. Perfect. With that, we'll move on to the defining terms section. And so there are a few terms that 6 terms in total that we will define at the start of this presentation. And for those of you that can see the screen, can I have a volunteer read out the definitions that they can see?
I can read. Definition terms: Latinx gender neutral term referring to people of Latin American descent, not one race, can be white, Indigenous, and Afro-Latinx. Undocumented refers to resident status within the United States, often given to refugee and immigrants, even while they work to support the American economy. Xenophobia, dislike or prejudice for people of other countries.
Yeah, thank you for that, Yessie. So these are some of the terms that we will be using in the presentation. And there are 3 more terms. And if I can have someone else offer to read these terms for us.
I can read the terms. Colonialism, the policy or practice of acquiring full or partial political control over another country. Exploitation of native land and people. Imperialism, a policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. CIA, economic control, embargoes. Anti-Blackness, resistant or antagonistic to Black people or their values, culture, and being.
Thank you, Regina and Yessie, for reading out those terms for us. And so I will turn it over to Rhea.
All right, thank you, Bisma. Yeah, so for this meeting, we were thinking about Latinx Heritage Month and about immigrants in our communities, and also about, you know, the global conditions that lead people to emigrate from their countries and often, you know, come here other places. And we wanted to kind of extend our vision a bit beyond the Bay Area and beyond US borders, and understand a bit about what the political situation is in Haiti right now, where a lot has been happening. So we have 2 speakers joining us, and I believe we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, so I don't think they've joined yet. Yeah, they're coming on at 10:30 or 10:35. So I wonder if we wanted, just maybe use this time if people have any kind of questions about the terms that that Bisma just shared. Maybe we can go back to the previous slide and see if people have anything, anything they want to ask, or any comments about the terms. And you can like raise your hand or unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
Solo quería decir, this is Ligia, sorry. Oh, hold on, let me change my channel. Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to say that ultimately, imperialism is all about the economic, and it's just about, like it says there, economic control, because everything revolves around the economic, growth of the imperialism, and by getting the resources from everywhere else, from all the countries, and and the important thing is about these corporations that keep some, eating up small entities, and so we end up with maybe just 2 or 3 worldwide, like for the computers, for instance, or the telephone, we have the Apple, and then we have the Galaxy and the Huawei. Those are the big ones, right? And there's no opportunities for others to really, have small companies. You know what I mean? And so it's all about that kind of control. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say a little bit of that. Sorry.
Do not apologize. Thank you for uplifting that, Ligia. And I will also add that this is something that is really making capitalism thrive, and that things like the International Monetary Fund, or IMF is what it's referred to, actually destroy local businesses in places like the local farming industry, the dairy industry, and all of these things, to replace it with American export and American goods, so that they have access to the raw materials, but ultimately get the money for the final products. And knowing that this is a process that occurs throughout the global South, which refers to places that are impacted by colonialism and imperialism directly. So thinking about Latin America, South America, Asia, and Africa broadly as well. So much of what we're talking about will be specific to Latin America, but knowing that these are issues that transcend borders. And so does anyone else have any comments or questions about the terms?
Well, I can share something else that is about what's going on with the COVID-19. You know that there are other nations that have created vaccines, and they are more affordable, but the big pharma companies have this monopoly, right? And so even though those vaccines have been approved by health, the World Health Organization, they're not approved for in Europe. And even though they are approved by the health, organization that is supposed to be the one that have the last saying on this, if you get a different vaccine that is not Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson and Johnson, they're not allowing you to come into those countries. And so that's another way of, seeing what imperialism looks like, how capitalism in the maximum expression looks like, because it's not the countries that make the decisions, but the big pharma, so yep, that's how capitalism look like. Imperialism.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Ligia. And also, yeah, even just the vaccines that we have here, like, it would be possible to waive the property rights, the intellectual property rights, so they could be produced all over the world. And that's something that a lot of countries support, but it still hasn't happened because it's, the way that like the World Trade Organization is set up. It's like the owners of the vaccine their right to own the vaccine is considered more important than like the right of people all over the world to have access to it. Yeah, but there is stuff that we can do about that. So yeah, so it looks like our speakers just arrived. And yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over to Charlie Hinton and Ustadi Kadiri from the Haiti Action Committee, which is a Haiti solidarity group in the Bay Area. And they're gonna talk a little bit about the recent political events in Haiti and give some context. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Charlie and Ustadi. And yeah, we'll spotlight you.
And also just a reminder for our presenters that we do have live Spanish interpretation that is simultaneous. So to please slow down when you speak so that our interpreters can catch up to what you are saying. Oh, and then a reminder to the interpreters to please select the language that you will be speaking in as well. So there's a globe icon that should be on the bottom of your screen. So please select English if you are speaking in English, or Spanish if you are speaking in Spanish.
Is Ustadi on here?
Yeah, it looks like he's joining right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So he should be on in just a sec. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Charlie. I'll turn it over to you.
You're welcome. Certainly make. Is he still not there?
Yeah, I think he's having a tech issue because it keeps saying joining.
Well, should I start until?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, and I'll spotlight him as soon as.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, most of you know certainly about the terrible earthquake that's happened and about the assassination of the president. We want to go back actually to 1915. Well, actually to 1804, when the Haitians defeated the French army and became the first nation in the world created out of formerly enslaved people. And it's always been kept from self-determination. In 1915, the United States occupied Haiti, the Marines, and stayed for 19 years. They left behind a colonial army that supported the Duvalier dictatorship and the Tonton Macoute death squads. That was finally overthrown in 1986, led by a grassroots movement called Lavalas, or the Flood. And for 5 years, the United States tried to impose military generals to rule the country. But finally, a mass movement, an uprising, led to the first and free democratic elections ever held in Haiti. And they were held in 1990, 1995, and 2000. And a priest named Jean-Bertrand Aristide became president in 1990, who was part of the Theology of Liberation movement. Is Ustadi on yet? Okay, so he was overthrown in 1991 after he went to the United Nations and said that Haitians are tired of living under the table, they want a seat at the table. And in 1994, he was brought back into power by Clinton administration. And he was not allowed to serve the years that he was exiled. So there were new elections in 1995, and a Lavalas president won. And then there were elections in 2004 and 2000, and Aristide won again with huge majorities. And he developed more schools. The Lavalas government created more schools in Haiti than had been built in Haiti's entire history. They built hospitals, they built housing, They built parks in neighborhoods that had no public space at all. And the United States destabilization campaign really went into high gear after 2000. And in 2004, Aristide was flown out of the country, kidnapped and flown to the Central African Republic. And he returned in 2011, but Haiti's been under military occupation by the United Nations, led by the United States, France, and Canada ever since. And there have been no free and fair elections ever since. In 2011, Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, maneuvered the election of a man named Michel Martelly, a very gross, popular entertainer who hated the Lavalas movement and who had performed Drop His Pants, extremely sexist. And he started really a government of kleptocracy, of giving land away, of developing death squad parallel to the old Tonton Macoute under the Duvalier dictatorship. And then he was followed in 2016 by Jovenel Moïse from the same party, which the name of the party translates into English as the Skinhead Party, if that gives you any idea. And they're gangsters. And they have stolen more than $3 billion in money from Petrocaribe oil sales, where Venezuela granted Haiti money, oil at below market rates to sell at market rates and use the money for development. It's all been stolen. None of it's accounted for. He's given land away to Coca-Cola for a stevia plantation. And there's massive repression. There's a death squad leader, my man named Jimmy Cherizier, also known as Barbecue. Then he's been even in the US media talk about him. And they call him Barbecue because of the way he uses fire. He burns people alive. He burns houses. He burns neighborhoods. Haiti Action Committee, if you go to our website, HaitiSolidarity.net, has a report on the La Saline massacre that killed hundreds of people, officially 78 people, I think, in 2018. And we actually have photos of a pregnant woman burned to death. So this is the background of the assassination. You know, we don't know who killed him, but we know there are ruling elites. Nothing happens in the United States without the United States involvement. I will speak about President Aristide. Since he returned, he has, before he left office, how am I doing for time? Before he left office, he and his wife founded the Aristide Foundation University to develop doctors, to train doctors. When the United States occupation invaded in 2004, the US Marines occupied the campus of the medical university, drove out the Cuban doctors, and settled the Marines in there. So that gives an idea of Cuba's foreign policy as opposed to the United States foreign policy. So when the Aristides returned, they went back to recreating the Aristide University. It now has a medical school that has graduated several hundred students, a nursing school, physical therapy, law, and there's a couple of other faculties. The medical students are very strongly involved in earthquake relief in the South now. They're down there, they're raising funds, they're bringing money. The grassroots party, Famille Lavalas party that President Aristide founded is still very active. They were never allowed to participate in any election after the coup until the 2016 election. And there was massive voter, they could give lessons to what's happening in the United States right now for the way they kept people from voting. Like people would go to a polling site and found out their polling is really at a faraway place and everybody's on mass transit. They'd find their name on the outside of the polling place and they go in to get their ballot, and the ballot their name wasn't on the inside. People didn't receive their voting documents. So that allowed the Moise government to come into power, supported by the United States and the United Nations. So now we have the situation where the United States is trying to rush elections in September of this year and change the Constitution so the president can run pretty much indefinitely, and the president would have no, the president can do anything they wanted to do. They would never be liable or criminally responsible for anything they did as president for the rest of their lives. So it gives really an enormous amount of impunity to the president. And this is what the United States wants. They want to overturn the Constitution, which does create, checks and balances and power distribution. So I'll stop there. And if Ustadi is on,
I think
can
so.
add.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Charlie. That was a really helpful overview of a lot of Haitian history and gives good context for what's happening now. And I see Ustadi just joined, and I wonder if he wants to add anything, or if you guys want to take a few questions.
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get on. That's why I kept trying to get on.
I'm so sorry, Ustadi. I don't know. Yeah, I saw you joining, and
yeah, it wouldn't connect.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything you want to add, or if we want to just open it up for a few questions.
I'm sorry, I just got on and I just heard what you're
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Welcome. Yeah, so why don't we?
In terms of migration, really briefly, there were so many people left during the 1991 to 2004 coup period. That's one of the reasons Clinton restored Aristide to return to Haiti. And people during Aristide's and the Lavalas period, people returned to Haiti who had been refugees outside of the country. But starting with the dictatorships, they have fled again. Many went to Brazil to help construction of the Olympic Stadium. They've gone to Chile. And now there are massive numbers of Haitians in Mexico trying to get into the United States.
Also, Ustadi, thank you for joining us. We also have Spanish interpretation enabled on the Zoom call. And so if you can click the globe icon on your Zoom screen and click English as your language so that our interpreters can hear.
Okay, I hear all of what you're saying, but I'm on a cell phone.
So you'll have to click the 3 buttons that say more.
Okay, I hope this is the right button. Okay, hold on. Oh God. It doesn't say more. That says close all, so I don't want that one. What would, oh man. See, I just messed up. Oh, God. Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, I'm not the most
All good. I was actually just informed that interpretation can hear the line. So you don't actually have to adjust anything. Thank you.
Well, I don't see nothing now. So I'm trying to get back to where I'm having fun. I'm not computer literate, I'm sorry.
Okay, we can see you now. I wonder, do we have any questions for Charlie and Ustadi from
Charlie? Charlie, did you go over the invasion in 1915?
Briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, if people want to raise your hand or type in the chat.
I would love to hear from Ustadi. I would love, in the time that we have left, I would like to hear about your experience with Haiti and the culture and politically what your relationship and views are, please.
I agree.
Well,
I went to Haiti in 2000 as an observer with Global Exchange to
Okay.
monitor the elections. And to me, the whole question is about, let me say, they got their independence in 1804. So they want to be not colonized. So the problem that we face today is colonization. And so what happened in 1915 at that invasion, because President Sam was killed, the problem was the United States made agreement with Haiti and was only supposed to last for 10 years. Now the 10 years was up, but I guess they kept reactivating. But one of the problems that we do have is that during that time, 1914 was the beginning of World War I. So you had a problem with the Germans coming to Haiti and marrying Haitian women. That's how you got the mulattoes in Europe, in Haiti. And one of the problems that we face today is that what we're looking at is the United States is more concerned about not having a base that close to the United States, just like they had in the 50s and the 60s in regards to Russia and Cuba. Because the United States is good at planning bases everywhere around Russia, but they don't want nobody around them. So the question that you asked me, what did I think and what were my feelings about Haiti? I think the biggest thing is decolonization. And one of the things that when you colonize somebody, one of the problems that you have, you're always going to have a war on two opposite sides. It's like black and day. And black and day, night and day. One of the things that you're going to run into the only way they can be in opposite or in opposition is that it's always going to be marked with violence. And so today, the United States now is holding up their end of number one part of the treaty was security and finances. So if they took $500,000 out of Haiti in 1915, it still holds today. They don't want no bases there. That's number one. Number two, they want to exploit cheap labor. Number three, they want the economic of the building of the land. So that's one of the things. But my personal thing being there, I think Haiti is beautiful. The people are beautiful. It's good to be there. But one of the biggest things that one of the biggest things that's happening in Haiti today, just like it was in 1915, was exploitation. Let me clarify exploitation. Would you believe in 1919, 1920, they had uprising in Haiti? Why was they having uprising in Haiti? Because the United States got there in 1915. What was some of the problems that they had? Some of the problems what they had, guess what? Segregation. Can you believe you're 95% black and they talk about segregation? Who would do anything about that? Forced labor. Who would do anything about that? Taking the land. One of the problems that when Haiti won their independence in 1804, no foreigners could own the land. Now we're going back to foreigners can own the land. So there's a lot of things, but the most important thing to me, that's the positive thing, the people are beautiful. The only thing that I say, Haiti is not the poorest country. It's not underdeveloped. What it is overexploited by the rich. So when you get overexploited, remember those opposite, over and under. So you call it under, I say we're overexploited by the rich folks. I don't know if I answered your question.
Thank you so much. I have just one more question, if that's possible. So I know there is a political theory going around that because Louverture Toussaint was able to drive out the French, that the UN has been making Haiti pay for the loss of land and proposed labor from the enslaved peoples. And that is one reason, that is an economic embargo that has been put on that country. Is that true?
It wasn't so much the UN. The French didn't recognize Haiti until 20 years afterwards. And what happened was they had to pay retribution. Would you believe this? look, you gonna come in my house, steal my TV, and
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, am I speaking too fast? Somebody said something? Okay, here's what I'm saying. Now, this is what happened. Haiti won fair, well, not fair. War is never fair and war is never square. But you win the war, and now you got to pay restitution back because they lost money from what they from the exploited labor. So that's how French recognized. I think during that time, I think it was the League of Nations. League of Nations, I think, came in 1920 somewhere in there. But so that's yeah, that's halfway true. That's once again, that's how you undevelop. That's how you not underdevelop, but overexploit. So we're being overexploited. No matter where you are, the problems are always going to be the same. European come in with a God complex. That's what they come in with, and what they end up killing a whole lot of people. Afghanistan, Algeria, we can go all over the world. Same conversation. Same conversation. It's the European God complex. I don't know if I answered that question.
You're answering the questions very well. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Freddie. I have a couple of questions. I typed them in the chat. You said earlier about
I don't do chats. I don't do chats at all. So you don't type nothing.
Okay, I can say it. When you said decolonization earlier, can you elaborate what that means specifically? And also, I was curious about your thoughts on the constant resistance to having Haitians migrate here in terms of the US keeping people out.
When you say, okay, you know what colonize mean? That means that, okay, let's take the United States, and then we'll go to Haiti. Well, we can stay in Haiti, don't make no difference. It's when a foreign power come in and take your land without asking, take your woman without asking, make you work free without asking, make laws to benefit them without asking. Now that's colonization. You got that part, right? Now you want me to do decolonize, right? So decolonization is when you start fighting against those. You start fighting against, you want your land back. You don't want foreigners to buy your land. You don't want to be exploited. Now that's where Haiti has been since 1804. They had 2 good years, 1804 to 1806. But that's right now, they will forever be fighting simply because they're overexploited, over-colonized. The United States has to have security. Why? Because they have a God complex. 20 years in Afghanistan, they got kicked out. The French couldn't win in Vietnam. The Japanese couldn't win in the United States couldn't win. So pretty soon, I might not be here no more, but they definitely will not win in Haiti, because what was on the bottom will rise to the top. And anytime you have 2 conflicts, you're always going to have violence. And that's what we're seeing today in Haiti, violence.
Thank you so much, Daddy, and thank you for the questions, Freddie. Unfortunately, we're over time. I know people have more questions, and yeah, Alan asked in the chat if there are any COVID vaccinations happening in Haiti. I don't know if either of you have an answer to that, and then I think that will have to be the last question for today, unfortunately.
Charlie, are you sure, or do you know? I'm not really sure, really, because of what's happening right now on the ground in regards to COVID. There's no doctors. UNIFA got more doctors on the ground, and probably UN got more, not UN, whoever came in has more doctors on the ground. Cuba is always there on the ground. That's off the top. So I can't answer that question, sir, clearly.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you both so much for joining us and for sharing this really helpful knowledge. And I'm sharing some articles in the chat, including one that Ustadi wrote, so people can learn more. And yeah, thank you both so much.
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all this information with us. It's always good to know more about why things look like they look like now, because it's connected. It comes from so long before, right? And so we need to know that history that tell us why things are the way they are. Thank you so much. And now we're gonna have Guillermina Castellanos. She's gonna be talking about other group of immigrants also here that are present in the Bay Area and the United States. Guillermina.
Buenos días. Buenos días a todos. Gracias por invitarme a hablar sobre este tema tan importante, ¿verdad? Como acaba de hablar el señor. Yo soy Guillermina Castellanos, trabajo en la colectiva de mujeres y el Day Labor, Dolores Street Community Service. Yo soy la codirectora de las trabajadoras del hogar, soy la cofundadora de la colectiva de mujeres y a través de los años he aprendido sobre la colonización, imperialismo, capitalismo, supremacía blanca, etcétera, etcétera, que es lo que nos trae a estar en la lucha día a día, a defender los derechos. Voy a dar tiempo para que traduzcan. Ok. Entonces, gracias. A través de los años me he dado cuenta que por más de 400 años hemos estado en esta lucha desde la colonización, ayudando a crecer la economía del país. Y yo decía, cuando yo llegué aquí a los Estados Unidos, pero yo cómo aporto a la economía. Y a través de los años me di cuenta que nosotros como trabajadoras del hogar aportamos a la economía mundial, porque nuestros los inmigrantes venimos a hacer el trabajo más duro y menos pagado, menos reconocido, como el trabajo del hogar, el trabajo de limpieza de casa, cuidado de niños, cuidado de pacientes. Y estamos a través de los años hemos estado aprendiendo a cómo defender nuestros derechos y aprendiendo qué es colonialismo, qué es patriarcado, qué es imperialismo, para que eso nos dé una oportunidad de crecimiento, pero también de aprender sobre nuestros derechos y cómo aportamos a la economía del país. Me he dado cuenta que como decimos, ¿verdad? Siempre, y a lo mejor es chocante este dicho que decimos, los Estados Unidos sin los inmigrantes no sería lo que es, porque nosotros aportamos a hacer esos grandes edificios, a hacer esas grandes empresas. Nosotros sale un teléfono Apple y vamos y lo compramos porque queremos estar a la moda. Hemos visto cómo Amazon.
We have seen how Amazon has grown because of our purchases and what we pay them. There are more than 11 million immigrants that support this economy, and these great caravans, and it's convenient for the countries. There is a covenant between them that you can't see, but internally, it helps them to have immigrants come to the United States to have the economy grow. And we realize this because of statistics. The whole percentage of that immigrants contribute to make the U.S. grow, and the money that we send back to the countries, because beside the fact that we live, we pay rent, we pay food, we pay taxes, all of us immigrants, whether documented or undocumented, the immigrants plus the undocumented pay taxes, and the organizations, we make them realize that they need to pay their taxes, and they pay the taxes even without documentation. So this topic is very important because it brings us to learn from Haiti, from Mexico about economy since colonization, that they have kept our lands, they have kept all our raw materials, our seeds, and that we're still fighting now. More than 400 years of history of people who work at homes. We have been fighting against imperialism, against this colonization, and all of this lack of resources for us as immigrants. And it is important that we realize how we, as people who work at homes, even at these times, they still don't want to give us the basic right like health and security. And we are also not alone. We are working with the National Alliance for Home Workers that talk about these important themes, topics, how we make the economy grow. Sometimes we don't even realize, perhaps not here, but around us, there are a lot of people who don't realize where did the potatoes come from? Who is the agriculture person? Who grew these salads that we have on our tables? All of that us and the undocumented do this work. I'm going to stop here to see if you have questions, and I'll be very happy to answer them.
Yo tengo una pregunta, Guadalupe, aquí.
I am Guadalupe. I have a question. Good morning.
¿Qué podemos hacer los seniors como nosotros, que yo ya estoy en otro nivel? ¿Qué podemos hacer aparte de ir a las acciones públicas, a las marchas, a todo lo que podamos hacer? ¿De qué otra manera podemos ayudar nosotros a nuestros trabajadores esenciales y en este caso a las trabajadoras? ¿De qué otra manera aparte podríamos participar?
Yo creo que muchos de nosotros tenemos historias, tenemos una legacía, tenemos un aprendizaje, tenemos contactos, tenemos personas que tienen el poder, un testimonio, una llamada a un asambleísta, una carta de patrocinar, reunirse, simplemente reunirse con nosotros en una reunión. Sabemos que también están ocupados, que tienen sus cosas, pero es tan bonito venir a una reunión de la colectiva, aprender qué es lo que hacen las trabajadoras del hogar, de dónde vienen, que no todas son indocumentadas, que tenemos mayoría de las trabajadoras son ciudadanas, y otra de las cosas que son, hay enfermeras, hay doctoras que por inmigrar a los Estados Unidos no pueden ejercer su título y que tienen que hacer el trabajo del hogar, y ustedes pueden hacer mucho, como les digo, llamadas a los legisladores, acompañarnos a una conferencia de prensa, aprender más qué es la coalición, e involucrarse también. Está la Alianza Nacional de Trabajadoras del Hogar, donde pueden también participar. Y tenemos convivios también, tenemos música, hacemos teatro, cantamos, y nos ayudaría también, ¿verdad?, a estar cantando usted conmigo y llevárnosla bien, compartir ideas también.
Gracias, Guille. Gracias.
Excuse me, is this supposed to be simultaneously translated? Because I'm hearing nothing but Spanish for the last several minutes. Is that what's supposed to be happening?
If you're on your laptop or you have a device,
I'm in my phone. I'm on my phone.
If your device, if your phone has on the screen, I know you have issues with that, there's a globe or a translation icon at the bottom that you click and you're able to transfer when someone's
No, there
speaking.
isn't.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just deal with it. I don't know what to do. I'll just listen.
Hi, Eric. I think you're speaking, or you're joining from a phone, and you might be able to access the 3 dots on the Zoom. Are you on a Zoom or are you directly on a phone call?
No, I'm on the telephone.
Oh, I don't think that unfortunately language interpretation can be directly from the phone, but we'll be sure to share the notes for this part of the conversation with you. I apologize.
Fine.
I would appreciate the notes as well.
Okay, sounds good. I will
Kathy,
send it
Kathy
out.
Lipscomb.
Guille, thank you so much for this presentation. Does anybody else wants to know anything else? We are also working with the domestic workers to advance a few campaigns at a state level and a local level. So if you wanted to participate or wanted to know more about those campaigns, please let me know so I can pass the information to you. And Guillermina, sos una guerrera, te quiero mucho.
Gracias igual. Cuídense mucho.
May I add something? I would like to add something. When we went to the Plaza Ocawa with the unions, and all of you guys were there, that's what we need to do. I really think that we need to go. If Guille sent us information, as much as we can, all of us, a group of us could go at least to represent our different groups. And I think that we need numbers. They need to see you in numbers. So that's what I think that we should do. Thank you, Guille. It's been great. Thank you. Bye.
Gracias a ustedes. Y Seniors Disability es parte de la coalición, así es de que estamos trabajando juntos y vamos a tener más información y invitarlas. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, señora.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Lupita, for that comment too. I think that's really important. You know, when we have numbers and we're all together is when we can win.
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna go into some small group discussions about some of the things that these speakers raised. But before, we're gonna take just a quick break so people can go to the bathroom or get water or food or whatever they need. So yeah, so let's come back in 5 minutes and we're gonna start the breakout rooms at 11:15.
And during the break, if you need Spanish interpretation or captioning, if you can put that in the chat or say that during the break so we can make sure you're in the right breakout room.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, so we'll be back by 11:15. So see you all soon.
Can we chat during the break too, like we do when we're in person?
I'm glad you said that because I did have a question. Was there an event or something happening soon that Guillermo was talking about that we can participate in?
I didn't catch that. Ligia or somebody else? Is there an event that Guillermina was suggesting?
Yes, I didn't get the date of the event either. She said that's when people talked about showing up. We have to be in numbers, but I don't know what the event was.
I think she was talking more in general.
Yeah,
you know.
it was more in general.
Yeah.
But if you want more information about the two campaigns that La Colectiva, you know, the domestic workers are have right now or are working on, you know, we can I can give you all the information and invite you to the meetings. We have meetings. One is a local ordinance and municipal ordinance, and the other one is at a state level, but I will send you the information, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you, hon.
And then for anyone else who's interested, the website for the domesticworkers.org, that's the one to go to.
Mhm.
Betty, what did you type in the chat?
Well, today is the 50th anniversary of the song Imagine. And, you know, it talks about a world that we don't have, but as we're listening today, that we would like to see, you know, a world without borders. It's one of the quotes, but I was thinking it'd be nice if people, you know, meditated for a couple minutes sometime during the day on imagining the world that we like to see. And then, of course, after that, how do we make that dream come true? But it's a beautiful song. If you have some time to Google it and read the lyrics or hear it sung by someone, it's very inspiring. And today's the 50th anniversary. I heard this on the radio this morning. I didn't know it myself. So I just thought I'd bring it up to people.
Yeah, it would be nice if people didn't have to leave their country, you know, because of all the imperialism, you know, ways of affecting others. So then they wouldn't be worried about immigration, and they would have all the borders to be erased, right? Yeah, so.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? The same people who went in and colonized to go in and decolonize.
So I have one thing to say that cronyism, because why? To colonize actually in the way is the local rich Haitian themselves are the one exploiting on the poor Haitians. Because you know, they sell their labor, the cheaper labor of their fellow person to the people, and the same thing. I think there is something in there too. It's not as easy as you want to decolonize. I think it's that way, you know, indirectly. Okay, that's all.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope that you had a good short break. It sounds like some good conversation was happening too. So now we're going to go into breakout rooms so we can discuss some of the things that came up today. And we have a couple of questions to guide our discussion. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to share the slide. And just if you are using Spanish interpretation or closed captioning, please stay in the main room. So when you get the invitation to join a breakout room, just decline it and you'll stay in the main room. And that's where our interpreters and captioner will be. All right.
Sorry, I need some help figuring out breakout rooms. Okay, I just found out the facilitator, Sarah, Freddie, Yessie, me, and then Bisma, Rhea, Lihia. Like, who are the facilitators is what I need to know. And then I need to know who should stay in the main room.
I'm staying in the main room for the Spanish.
Okay, great.
And I can be put in a breakout room, but also can stay if we have enough people. And then I just put up a slide on the Zoom screen that basically just says what the questions are for the breakout room. And so
your life right now.
And so you can choose to answer them in whatever order feels natural and organic for your conversation in the breakout rooms. But the questions are, how do you see colonialism affecting your life right now? how does colonialism affect the work of SDA? And how can we address anti-Blackness and xenophobia in our own communities?
And if they need people to help with Spanish, I mean, I'm not a native speaker, but if there's assistance needed, I can assist. So.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right, so.
I have a question. This is the main room?
Yeah.
Okay,
This
thank
is
you.
the main room, yeah.
But you guys are the ones assigning people, right? To the different rooms. All right. So I don't have to do nothing, really.
Yeah. If you want to stay in the main room, just.
I had to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Just decline the invitation to leave. All right. So the breakout rooms should start in just a sec.
Sorry, they're almost ready. Ray, are you a facilitator?
Yeah.
You can be. Okay, great.
Hi, Jesse. Room so I can like start with the conversation or something.
Is there anyone who needs captioning so that I can keep you in the main room?
Excuse me, Jessica.
Nati, you want captioning? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
No. I am in the main room. I'm just listening.
You're in the main room right now, but we're going to put you in a breakout room. Is that okay?
In the breakout. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for Yessie and Freddie for uplifting the questions into the chat. And I will try to broadcast the questions to remind you, and then share the slides in case you want to see them on the slides too. But while Jessica is
okay, it is ready.
Oh, yay, perfect. Just reflect on the question.
And if there's a problem, there's a thing to call the host, and then Bisma can join your room to help you out. Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
And we have 10 minutes in the breakout rooms.
Can you stop the screen share?
Perfecto. Bueno, vamos a empezar entonces. Oh.
I just realized I assigned the phone numbers. Who did we have who needed translation? Ligia?
Huh?
Who do we have who needs interpretation?
Flor.
So Flor should be here.
Yeah.
Who else?
Y Lupita, si quiere hablar
Aquí
conmigo
estoy.
en español, si podemos
Aquí
hablar en
estoy.
español. So, pero, we don't need interpretation.
Ya
if we,
estoy en español.
Sí, Florcita, yo la escucho.
Okay, there wasn't anyone else. I thought there was Enrique, but I don't see him now.
Oh.
Was there an Enrique?
Sí, sí estaba, pero me dijo que se tenía que ir, ni modo.
Okay, Susie, I'm going to move you to a different room so that this room can just do Spanish. And Regina, I should probably move you as well.
Yeah.
I can hear you, Haiti, but I don't know if anyone.
Okay, me voy a poner en el de español porque quiero hablar español.
Jessica Ligia, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know
Estoy
if
en
your
el
language
español ahora.
Is
Ligia, you're not hearing Bisma?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Bisma was saying something.
I don't think you can hear our interpreters, and I think you also have to select the language on the globe if it got unselected.
Oh, that's true. Everything gets unselected
Estoy
when
en
you do
español,
breakouts.
¿verdad?
Yeah.
Sí, voy a estar en el español. Pero es que ellas van a estar aquí también, Bisma y Jessica. Okay.
Bisma, do you usually kind of go to each room and make sure everybody's cool. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to do that, or we could both do it?
I can help with that. Yeah.
Okay. You want to do the first 2 rooms and I'll do the last 2?
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Sí, lo que pasa es que, bueno, yo pensaba que iba a trabajar de otra manera, porque pensaba que como íbamos a estar.
I honestly don't know. Does anybody else know? As
Yes.
know, unless they are Haitian.
Hello. Yes.
You know. Yeah,
Go ahead.
please.
Yes.
ahead.
Hello, this is Kathy. Can I?
You can go ahead.
Can I speak? Okay. Well, I came of age in the Vietnam War and the civil rights upheaval in the 60s. And then we, before that, we had the Korean War, and then before that, invasions of a lot of.
So,
yeah, or same with us in English.
right, exactly. Yeah.
And Canada.
So how do we see those aspects of, like, you know, another country coming in and taking control of a country and sort of, you know, having control over economic aspects, social aspects of a country? How do you see colonialism affecting your life right now? Or do you?
I don't want to keep speaking over other people if they want to jump in. Does anybody else want to talk? Okay. I think it's challenging these days. I mean, I speak personally. A lot of my family lives in Florida, and there's difficulty there going on with, you know, government and what's going on with COVID. So I think a lot of what's going on with certain things like that, not just in California, but the way the country is set up in different states, affecting other people.
Well, maybe we should move to just sort of like how we see colonialism affecting, you know, our work at SDA.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to give a wrong answer.
No, there's no wrong answer. I think it is a bit of a challenging question. So I guess
Could I say something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Colonization. Yesterday, I did not have the pleasure, but I had let me say I had the pleasure. I had the pleasure of helping a friend that was getting evicted in Oakland, California. And I had the pleasure to talk to the owner and the police, not the police, the sheriff simultaneously, because they were serving the eviction notice and we had to be out at a certain period of time. And the person that I spoke up for, he wasn't delusion, but he was just sad because his property was in there and they was going to give us a length of time to get out. And so, since I've been through things like this before, the owner was, I wouldn't say he was hard, but he tried to be hard. If you're young, you would have got mad at the owner, but I'm older and I'm more reserved. So since the sheriff is there and he said you're supposed to have been out at 11 o'clock today. And it was probably about 5 minutes to 11 and the place was still full of his possession. So I asked the sheriff, what does the law states? And the law says that even if you're being evicted, you have 15 days to get your possession out, although you would have to make an appointment with the owner. So now that cooled the owner off. And I said, owner, you know, you should give him to 5 or 6 o'clock, or we could take our 15 days. And so he agreed with the 5 o'clock aspect of it. So that's one aspect of owner, landlord to tenant. So that's one thing. On the loan aspect, even for me to get a loan is very difficult simply because I work for myself. And when you work for yourself, it's kind of, you got to have Dun and Bradstreet readings, or you got to get something, or somebody is really want to stick it to you by charging you too much interest, and you're smart enough to know that you're not going to pay that much interest, you know. So, and not to even mention, you do not want to be stopped anytime in the dark by a police officer in any city in the United States, because they still are the go-between between the have and the have-nots, and their job is to make sure you have nothing. So those are just the simple things of colonization that people sometimes, if you know, if they don't feel it, they don't know it. They don't. I give you example. I was driving. What was that? That was a '68 Chevrolet, and the '68 Chevrolet, it was smashed in the front a little bit, but the lights and everything was operative. So the cop gives a ticket for no front lights or things like that. It was a fix-it ticket. So I take it to the highway patrol. The highway patrolman said, "But I don't see the problem here." I say, "You won't understand because you're not black." You see what I'm saying? It's simple things that a lot of people that ain't black, they take it for granted that we can't take for granted. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, that's just a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. Those are some great examples. Susie, did you have something you wanted to say? Well, I guess I'll say for myself, you know, a way that I see colonialism affecting my life, or just more like our communities and what I see. You know, a lot of reasons that people come to this country is because of the effects of imperialism and colonialism in other countries. And it's the reason, you know, folks come to our country. And I feel like this country was built on immigrant and working class labor. And that is, you know, we have that to we have immigrants to thank for who we are as a country right now, honestly. And, you know, there was a lot of colonialism in our past. I guess I'm not saying that colonialism is a good thing, but I guess, you know, how does it affect our work at SDA? I guess more like, how can we not sort of take that mentality of the colonialist mentality of like, this is ours, this is only ours, you know, even if you were here before, that doesn't matter. Even if you're new to this country, this is ours and only ours. And I think that's kind of the colonialist mentality. So I think that it can kind of seep into American kind of ideas of who belongs and who doesn't belong. And so that's one way I think, like, as SDA, we can think about, you know, our work as sort of like, we want to include anybody who is a senior or a person with a disability in our work. It doesn't matter if you arrived yesterday from another country, or if you've been here since our country started and way before that because you're Native American. Just, you know, I think that that's one thing I think about, is like, we're not here to judge you know, how people came to this country or why they're here.
Well, you know, I think on that same topic there is just that I personally cannot get mad at anybody coming to the United States. I cannot, because as Africans born here in the United States, we did not volunteer to come here, nor was we voluntarily paid by who, you know who. So my question is that's how my family got from Texas, and a lot of people from Louisiana, Mississippi, they all came to California to work, the Great Migration. Why would they come to work? Because they was born in a cotton field.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of families followed the cotton crop. So why should I get mad from a guy, like, we went from $2.50 100 pounds of cotton to $2.75. That may not seem like a lot, but it's better than, and plus home. I mean, not plus home, plus they provided a house for it. You see what I'm saying? So I can't get mad for somebody trying to better their family. I cannot. But what I can get mad at as the conditions that made them leave their country.
Yes, absolutely.
You got to see that. And that's what we don't talk about. What was the conditions that make them leave? Nobody wants to leave their home. Conditions are so bad. And that's what called colonialization.
Now I understand a little bit.
Susie, did you want to say something? Keeps going to you like you're trying to talk. Are you trying to talk?
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah, my parents were immigrants, and I guess we looked at it from another point of view. At least my parents did. You know, first of all, obey the law. You know, to stand for what you believe in and what this country stands for. Yes, they had to work hard. I don't think they ever had any health insurance. You know, even when my brother had polio, for some reason, everything got taken care of. I was raised in the sixth poorest state in the nation in the 50s, which was North Carolina. And when California was number one. And my dad always paid his bills, never had a credit card. So he had bad credit, but it never affected him. He did get Social Security, and whatever he had, with the help of his kids, they were able to live pretty well according to their lifestyle, but they were very frugal. So, you know, he instilled in us hard work and opportunity and not, you know, be beggars. So anyway, that's where I'm coming from. But the jobs are no longer here. You know, the jobs are like in China, and China is at the same level that we were probably at a few years ago, where everybody was. And now, you know, I'm starting to see a lot of Chinese come into this country, and they're just very wealthy. You know, there's a Beverly Hills, Chinese Beverly Hills in Southern California, and I didn't know that. So I guess every country has its poor to rich. And, you know, I kept hearing.
They're always too short.
To our facilitators, we should remind everyone that you have to set up interpretation again after breakout rooms.
Yeah. So now that you're back in the main room, just go to the bottom of your screen and you'll see the little globe button. And then click on that and then choose either English or Spanish, just like you did before. All right. Yeah, so welcome back, everyone. I hope those were good discussions. I know my group got into a lot of really interesting conversation, and just, yeah, a lot came up about, you know, how we see racism and colonialism in San Francisco and in the world, and the other places that people are living. Unfortunately, I don't think we have time to do report back, but if people want to share in the chat anything that came up in their group that they wanted to share, we just want to invite to do that. Moving on to the next section of our meeting, just a reminder about the election that's happening next week.
Can I interrupt for just a second and ask that at some point in the future there be a report back either on the SCA website or at a future meeting, some of the conversation that was said, so that it isn't like it just went into a black hole?
Yeah, that's a good point, David. I guess we can, I know some groups took notes. I don't know that all did, but maybe we can share the notes in the follow-up email. Does that sound good?
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And we want to think about this conversation not as the only conversation we'll have, but a starting point to talk about how this affects our work and our communities together. And that this is a starting point on a larger political education conversation. And yes, we will definitely talk about ways to continue passing the light in future meetings too.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, David. Yeah, I think it's good to share what we learned and what we shared with each other. Just a couple quick announcements about the election. Election day is September 14th, so that's Tuesday. And all registered California voters should have received a mail-in ballot. So hopefully everyone got that. And you can either mail your ballot in or put it in a drop box at a polling place. Or you can go and vote in person on Tuesday if you want to do that. And if you do go to vote in person, if you received a ballot, try to bring it to your polling place. They recommend that you do that. And yeah, just make sure that you sign and date the envelope of the ballot before you return it. And if you aren't registered to vote, you can register on election day at your polling place. And there's a link posted on the screen for the SF Elections Department that that has information on where you can find your polling place or drop-off location for your ballot. It's sfelections.org/myvotinglocation. So you can either go there to vote in person, or you can just bring your ballot and turn it in. And there's also a link with the requirements to register to vote if you haven't registered yet and you want to register on Tuesday. And yeah, if someone could put those links in the chat as well, that would be great.
Thank you, Rhea.
Yeah.
This is the best. Like, we really need to make sure that everybody, not just you, the ones that are participating in this meeting, but everybody that is connected to you that can vote should vote. And because there is a lot of apathy, you know, and we need to make sure that that doesn't happen. And but also, you know, I'm thinking about how expensive it is to go through this process. And so we have a member here, Lupita, that wants to talk from her own perspective. Lupita?
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much, Jessica, for the information about people able to register at the polling place. That's great because my son lives now in Oakland and he keeps saying, I have no time to register. I haven't done it. So thank you very much. That information is very good. And yes, well, I just want to, you know, my opinion as a Latina and a senior in regards to recall, if we allow this to happen, because in my group, we have this group of immigrants. It's about immigration. So we were talking to one of the attorneys, and he told us something that made me feel very sad and concerned about the recall. We are gonna really. This is a big loss about the, you know, sick leave, childcare, rent relief, all what we have now with the governor. He's been doing so good because other governors don't do not even a minimum of what he's doing. And we're going to lose a lot, like school funding, all what we accomplished the last years is going to be lost with these people because honestly, they just want to, my point of view, they want to destabilize our state and take control politically of the state. And my concern is that this attorney told us that he knows that only around 76% of the ballots are not back. So the people that are returning the ballots, it's just a few millions. That'll be around 26% of the voters. And that's really concerning for me. It seems to be that people are not paying attention what is going on now. It's crucial. This is something that we need to do. And so I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm pesting people. I'm after them the whole day. Did you vote? Did you vote? Remember, you have two hours by law to go and vote. The recall is really very important, and we need to understand our family, our friends, everyone that can listen to us, that we need to do that. I didn't know about register at the polling place. For me, it's fantastic. I still have my ballot because I like to go and put it there. I could do it over the mail, but I don't trust the mail anymore. And you know why? Since Trump, you know, I make sure to go and deliver it in the same day, so they cannot do nothing with my ballot. That's what I do. So yes, it's important, and this is we have a stake a lot this time. So I'm asking you in your organization, so the other people that you know, please urge them to do that. This is really important. Thank you.
Thank you, Lupita. We
You're
at
welcome.
SDA, we don't take, you know, we don't take a position on this stuff, but I'm glad that you are here to share your opinion. And so if anybody else wants to share their opinion before we go into announcements, that would be great.
We can also uplift what has been said in the chat. Betty shared that this recall election is so undemocratic. We need to make changes to the recall laws here in California. Someone could be our governor with less than 10% of the vote.
Oh, how scary that is. Okay. But anybody else that would like to, you know,
Yeah,
share their opinion on this?
Yeah, I would like just to add, tell me the options. What are the options? We don't have a better option than Gavin Newsom. If you see the people that are in the people that are running against him or trying to be in there, there's no option. That's scary. So I just want, and the monies that they're spending to do this, you know, that money, we need that money for something else. We didn't need to spend millions in this recall. Thank you. I'm gonna.
Okay, millions.
Thank you. Anybody else that wants to say something before we?
Yes, I would.
To
Eric,
the next.
Can you hear him?
Can you hear Eric?
Eric.
Oh, I cannot hear him. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, the thing I think people need to realize, I don't know how closely people have been watching it, but I've been watching it very closely. If people support the recall and Newsom is recalled, that means most likely that a guy named Larry Elder, who is a reactionary bonehead, will be the governor. He doesn't believe in a minimum wage. He believes that women should tolerate sexual harassment in the workplace, and that employers should be able to discriminate against women who are either pregnant or want to have children as an economic hardship on the employer, right? This guy is far to the right of Donald Trump. And he's got like 26% out of the 43 candidates, he's got 26% of the support of people who are voting for the recall. So keep that in mind. That in itself is a reason to vote no on the recall.
So my question is, what are you gonna do to prevent that from happening? I mean, like, not exactly, you know, who's gonna win or anything, but from the recall to happen, you know.
Urge your friends to vote no.
Okay, and how many friends you gonna reach out to?
I do it all the time. People call me all the time and ask me how to vote. I usually don't tell people. I just tell people, like, this is what one side says, this is what the other side says. But I've been telling people, I urge you to vote no on this recall. That's how strongly I feel about it.
I sent 100 postcards to people throughout the state to just vote no.
Or even not even just the state, but other states as well. I was talking by Hangouts to my brother in New York yesterday, and he said, tell me more about this guy. I don't know much about the situation in California. So I had to explain to him how serious it was and just do that explanation. So the more people know, the farther away, then the better it is, the more information gets out, even if it's not right here in California. So.
Vote no, or it's like suicide.
Oh my goodness. thank you so much. If there is nobody else, we can move to the next part.
May I say something? This is Lolita.
Yes, go ahead, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I know that a lot of the seniors that I work with receive the ballots, but I encourage them. I tell them to do it because sometimes they will just skip it, or sometimes they just don't care. So we really have to go out and talk to our friends if we have, you know, the ability to do it. And then if there's also Zoom that you can meet with certain groups, I think we should continue to do that. Even if everybody who attends this have voted already, we have to encourage others, our neighbors or whatever, people you meet or whatever. I think that's the best way.
lang.
Okay lang? Okay lang. Sige tayo.
Okay. Okay, may I also may I?
Yeah, Nati, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I had been listening since we started the meeting, and I also put in the chat that we, as Filipinos, should also be given an Tagalog interpreter. Not all seniors who are attending now, I do not know because I cannot see them here. Hindi ko sila makikita. I cannot see them here. But I would religiously and honestly suggest that we should be also provided for a Tagalog interpreter during meetings like this, because you know, one thing that sure that I know, while others seniors cannot attend because they are what do you call this, inefficient in understanding or analyzing what we are talking about, especially in Spanish, although there are interpreters. But I would perfectly suggest that there should be Tagalog interpreter too. For me, it's okay, but how about the others, right? Okay, one more thing. Because of this colonialism, it really affected our community, our personal also interest, not also our personal, but for the whole community, especially in SDA, that we Asian are really affected because and afraid to go out because of this Asian hate. You know, we have only once life. We only live once, not live twice, according to James Bond. But to us, because we only live once, especially we are seniors, right? So we are very protective to ourselves, especially our health. And it really affects us much because of this pandemic. But since then, we are trying very best to be in joining Zooms like meetings like this. And it's still though it's my special day today, I still insisted to attend because I'm interested in joining meetings, especially in SDA, and know what is happening. Okay? And thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Nati.
Yeah. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, because I love SDA, so I have to prioritize also my activity. It should be my prerogative not to attend, but I said I have to attend because it's a very important event also today for the SDA. And thank you for that, Peter, Steve, Estes, for always calling me and emailing me and all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nati.
Thank you, Nati.
Thank you.
Perfect. And so with that, we're going to move into announcements. And it's fitting that our first announcement is to wish happy birthday to Nati. And so if you can put it in the chat.
Yay! Thank you so
Happy
much.
birthday!
Happy birthday, Nati. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing online for the campaign, though I do not vote yet because I'm an immigrant. I am reminding voters, our Filipino community here in Sacramento and even in San Francisco. I've been connecting with them through online. I mean, calling through phones to remind them to cast their vote and to campaign for no. Thank you.
Perfect. And so I'm going to use the chat to put some announcements and also read them out for all of us to read and share the screen so we can see them together. But first, I want to highlight any new members that might be with us. So if you want to unmute and share that you are a new member, we would love to hear from you. I don't know if there are any on this call right now. Let's see. Oh, I'm not sure, but if you are, please unmute and share your excitement in joining our SDA circle and organizing family. And with that, we have the free Wi-Fi petition that has gone out. And so if you can take a moment to send it out to your friends and family and sign it yourself to support the need for free Wi-Fi here in San Francisco for seniors and people with disabilities. We also have an SRO disability access survey coming soon. And we also have an East Bay social media advocacy that is going to be happening, and we'll send more information about registration for that. But the dates for it right now are tentatively November 1st to December 15th on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. And it'll be a good way for us to learn how to use Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of those social media apps together and for community use. And then there's also an Art and Mind Reflections of Women and Femmes and Mental Health During COVID art gallery event on September 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I put the link to the free tickets for the Zoom event in case people want to show up to that online gallery to see the work of people in community with us. And there's also a transit justice event this Sunday. I don't know if Pi, you have more words to speak on that.
Can I announce something really quick?
Do you want me to say something about the transit event before we go on?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the information as we speak. So I think a lot of people have heard about the issues about JFK Drive and Golden Gate Park going potentially car-free and some of the access issues it raises. And so they're doing an event this Sunday called the Adaptive Transportation Event. And there's going to be a lot going on. It should be fun. There's an adaptive bike share program, and so you can try out different bikes. And the scooter companies that have permits from San Francisco are required to have some accessible options. And so they're going to have some of those for people to see and try out. And then staff from the MTA are going to be there to talk about the Golden Gate project and kind of hear people's feedback on what's going to make it good. So it's this Sunday. I think it's 1 to 3. I will put some more information in the chat.
My announcement is just that for the HAD meeting, the Healthcare Action Team meeting this Tuesday, we're going to have a person from City Wheelchair. And this person is going to be talking about, you know, some of the stuff that they have available and how to navigate certain things with Medicare and medical, you know, benefits, and also the possibility of collaborating with us with the new wheelchair battery replacement and repair, wheelchair repair. So if you know anybody that is a wheelchair user and would like to be involved in planning how this program is going to look like, please let them know that we are having this meeting. And the meeting is next Tuesday at 11 a.m. and I'm going to be sending the link to everybody. And so I hope we can get more people involved in this and create a strong program. So let's work together. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
We're doing announcements, right? I have, so next Wednesday from 1 to 3, which is September 15th, we're having our housing collaborative meeting. And there will be at least one guest, but we're gonna be talking about our ongoing issues and some of our campaigns moving forward and things that we're focusing on. I also wanted to give, and I'll put this in the chat, there is a monthly San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee meeting that happens, I believe it's the third Monday. Again, I will put the information in the chat or email it out. But for those of you that are interested in supporting or getting behind some of the Black and African American issues and policies and things that we're fighting for, to fight the anti-Blackness that we were speaking about earlier and fight the xenophobia that we were speaking about earlier, it would be a great way to learn more about what's going on and how we can connect together. Because one of the worst effects of racism, colonialism, imperialism is that the groups and the folks that are actually behind the divide are never held accountable or never focused on. What happens is all the other groups and the people that are being oppressed will fight against one another and infight. And it's like always fighting to get scraps or fighting to get things. And one of the most powerful things that we can do, and what I see happening at SDA, is banding together across those differences and looking more at the similarities that we have. And I think today was a great example of that, talking about the history of Haiti, the immigration and other things. So this is just another way to get involved and support folks and neighbors in our community.
Thanks, Freddie.
Thank you, Freddie.
I'm gonna jump in with a quick announcement. Thank you, Jessica, for the reminder. We have been planning this for so long, and it's so exciting that it's finally here. The Disability Book Series is back. So Thursday, October 7th at 5 p.m. Yep, had to double check that. 5 p.m. We have the first installment of the new Disability Book Reading Series, which many of you participated in last year, and we're back. We're super excited about it. The first one will be Demystifying Disability with Emily Ladow. I'm going to put the link in the chat again. Really hope that many of you can join. This is going to be a great event for anyone who wants to be in the conversation about, the subtitle is What to Know, What to Say, and How to Be an Ally, right? So this event is really an accessible, open event for anyone who just wants to improve their understanding, ability to participate in conversations around disability, to be in solidarity with, and to also build solidarity as disabled people. Jessica, did you want to say something on this or just pass on to the next announcement?
The next announcement, if that's okay.
All right, cool. Well, that's all I got.
Thank you. I also wanted to ask people to mark your calendars for another event in October on the Master Plan on Aging that the state of California came out with last year. It's going to be a local event around homelessness among seniors and people with disabilities on Tuesday. Let me make sure that's a Tuesday. Yes, October 26th from 1 to 3. And Shameen McSpadden, the Director of Homelessness and Supportive Housing, as well as Kelly Dearman, the Director of Disability and Aging Services, will be there. And we'll share more later.
Does anybody else have announcements?
I have one. If people can hear my mic, it's been not working. Okay. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, a few people through Transit Justice Group are getting together to start planning for our much delayed campaign called Give Me Shelter. It's at 11 o'clock tomorrow. I can put in basically in the chat how to join in. If you don't see the chat, you can email me and I can send it to you. Give Me Shelter campaign is about getting a shelter and bench at every bus stop. There has been a growing trend among MTA combined with the police to remove these items. We find it is the ADA issue, and every bus stop should have at least a bench and a shelter. So we are planning a campaign on this and are planning to get the actual details, how we're going to do it, the timeline, what tasks we want to do, what actions we want to do, will be all put together tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m. Did I hit? There we go. Now it's in the chat. For those who can't see the chat, just email me at srira, S-R-I-R-A, at sdaction.org, and I can send you the invite that way. One of the ideas we're thinking of was having people wait at the bus stop that doesn't have a shelter or a bench, and then phone in 311 saying, I'm waiting for a bus and I can't stand it anymore. So anyway, for those interested.
David?
Yeah, I just went to the SDA website and looked at the calendar, and on it, I see all the committee meetings in the general meeting, but I'm wondering if the events like the book readings and the master plan on aging and some of these other events can also be listed on the website calendar.
Thank you, David. That's a good idea. And Peter might be able to do that. He's so great.
Doing it for the book reading right now as we speak. Can't do the master plan on aging right
I
now.
just always want to make more work for Peter.
No.
Well, you know.
Thanks for the reminder, David. Okay.
Thank you, Peter, for doing that too. And anybody else that have any announcements or wanted to say, you know, something nice to everybody, or maybe, you know, a complaint or whatever?
No, just niceness.
Jessica?
I want to thank Lihia and Bisma and Rhea for putting together the agenda today, and for everybody for speaking. I think it was really great to be able to do some political education with each other and to kind of connect how our local issues are connected to and affected by the US's colonialism and imperialism. So thank you for that.
I also just want to take a moment to thank all of our wonderful presenters and interpreters. So Usadi, Charlie, Guillermina, Sol, and Heidi, thank you so much for being here and supporting and really giving us the content and the ability to share this with as many people as possible.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Bisma because, you know, she was the one actually doing most of the work with this. So thank you, Bisma. No, you were, so just take it. Anybody else that wants to say any nice things or
something nice? Thank you very much to all of you guys. I'm very happy and very lucky to be part of SDA, and I'm so happy for everything. So you are great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lupita. We're gonna start believing that. Oh.
Thank you very much.
You better.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for coming and for joining in this discussion.